life-changing amounts of money because I have certain morals. And what was your reward? The fucking bigwigs scooped in and got your checks. Is yeah, fuck the PGA Tour. You stand for nothing, motherfucking pussies. You act like you stand for something, but then when Mohammed Bonesaw opens up his wallet, you have no issue going into business with the people that killed Jamal Khashoggi. You have no issue going into business with people that helped perpetrate 9/11. Go fuck yourselves forever. But hey, that's the story, my takeaway, and I'll pass the question off to you. What are your thoughts in general, but also especially if you are someone who is a fan of golf? And then, if YouTube did what Twitch just did, I would be losing my damn mind. I'd be calling for a boycott and industry blackout, because Twitch just announced a number of rules regarding branded content, but some of the rules include some of the most anti-creator guidelines I have ever seen. Right, so first up, you have things that make sense. Creators have to disclose branded content on their streams. Yeah, transparency, honesty. Repeated failure to do so can lead to a suspension, with Twitch's website even saying they added a disclosure tool to the creator's dashboard. They also announced limitations in what you can promote, and a number of the things there can be understood, right? Hateful or illegal products, certain gambling products, spams and scams, right? I can't go on stream and be like, hey, you want to get in on the initial coin offering for my DeFucko coin? It's going to the moon. It's definitely not a thinly veiled scam. Also not allowing products like weapons, adult-oriented content, tobacco, certain financial services, medical products, political content, and more. But the biggest thing, and this is where I would lose my mind, streamers are no longer allowed to insert burned-in video ads directly into their streams, nor can they insert display or audio ads. Instead, streamers can do things like, yeah, they can play a sponsored game, but if you have branded images, you have to put them somewhere on your channel page. And I gotta say, that's absolutely fucking ridiculous, especially for a platform that's no longer having to just deal with like YouTube's big ass, but with places like Rumble and Kick offering major cash to streamers, which is why we've seen people in the space like Carl Jacobs saying this is directly Twitch trying to force the hand of streamers into allowing their sponsorships to go through them, giving them a cut of the payout, calling it another brain-dead attempt at becoming profitable at the expense of the streamer, and saying was firing hundreds of talented people not enough. Asmon Gold asking, you can advertise alcohol but not politics? Get the fuck out of here. With him also saying creators should seriously consider boycotting Twitch and that he might be moving to other platforms himself.
I will move to another platform. Non-exclusively, I will still stream on Twitch occasionally. If this goes through, I will actively start pursuing a deal.
Jacksepticeye saying one more nail in the coffin, as well as creators like Cutie Cinderella wondering how events like her Streamer Awards, which was just massively successful, could that even exist within these guidelines? I mean, Twitch had Moist Critical in all, saying it's actually impressive how Twitch manages to make the most dogshit changes imaginable. You also had other big reactions like Brooke of 100 Thieves saying, so insanely out of touch, I will never understand it. Why are they so against creators making money? And even MrBeast chiming in saying, hey Twitch, how about instead of handicapping what creators make, you help them make more? Seems more logical. And even floating the idea of doing a live stream on Kick as a form of protest. You know, when I look at this whole situation, it's one of the dumbest moves I've ever seen a social media company do. And I understand, like, when a social media company makes any sort of announcement or change, there's sometimes overreactions. This is not that. While every creator's business is different, you know, how much money they make from this thing, that thing, it changes. If YouTube implemented this change, my show would just be done overnight. Which is why when I see Twitch doing this, it's like they're pushing their creators into the arms of people that want them badly. Because if they're not pushing people to YouTube, you have Kick and Rumble just catapulting money at creators. And actually, with this developing story, a last-second update. This happened as we were uploading today's show. Twitch, I imagine, with egg on their face and slumped shoulders, made their way to a keyboard and wrote, today's branded content policy update was overly broad. This created confusion and frustration, and we apologize for that. We do not intend to limit streamers' ability to enter into direct relationships with sponsors. We wanted to clarify our existing ads policy that was intended to prohibit third-party ad networks from selling burned-in video and display ads on Twitch, which is consistent with other services. We missed the mark with the policy language and will rewrite the guidelines to be clearer. I'm sure you just misspoke. This definitely isn't a piss your pants, try and walk something back situation. But hey, let's see if enough people believe them or if this calms people down. And then I want to give y'all a quick update on a story that you may not have even realized we covered, because I covered it on one of our TikTok channels, which, by the way, there are 4 of them. Look, ooh, wow, check it out. See, this is a not so subtle plug. We share bite-sized shareable versions of the stuff and show, as well as a number of exclusives. But on one of those, we posted and then removed this video about the Air Force and an AI-enabled drone. And that video is based on an article from the Royal Aeronautical Society that had covered a recent summit they had. A summit where Colonel Tucker Cinco Hamilton, the chief of AI test and operations at the United States Air Force, spoke, with the Royal Aeronautical Society writing. Said Hamilton, we were training it in simulation to identify and target a SAM threat. And then the operator would say, yes, kill that threat. The system started realizing that while they did identify the threat, at times the human operator would tell it not to kill that threat, but it got its points by killing that threat. So what did it do? It killed the operator because that person was keeping it from accomplishing its objective. And saying Hamilton went on, we trained the system. Hey, don't kill the operator. That's bad. You're going to lose points if you do that. So what does it start doing? It starts destroying the communication tower that the operator uses to communicate communicate with the drone to stop it from killing the target. So we and a number of outlets saw that and ran with the story because of the direct quotes. But then after the video went up, the Air Force refuted Hamilton, claiming the Department of the Air Force has not conducted any such AI drone simulations and remains committed to ethical and responsible use of AI technology, and saying it appears that the colonel's comments were taken out of context and were meant to be anecdotal. But also, I'm not sure how Hamilton's comments were taken out of context. He said what he said at the time, and it wasn't until later he claimed that he misspoke, that being the key reported word there, and claiming what he meant to say was that the rogue AI drone simulation was a hypothetical thought experiment, and saying that experiment was conducted outside the military. And going on to add, we've never run that experiment, nor would we need to in order to realize that this is a plausible outcome. Despite this being a hypothetical example, this illustrates the real-world challenges posed by AI-powered capability and is why the Air Force is committed to the ethical development of AI. And while with that, you have some saying, the whole situation feels sketchy of like people saying things and then walking it back and then claiming, hey, it was a misspoke or taken out of context. Once he claimed that he misspoke, we took down the video. And I wanted to make sure that we updated the situation here on the main show, especially as other random social media channels have been ripping that video and just sharing it with no update. And then massive union and strike news, with members of the Actors Union, SAG-AFTRA, approving a strike authorization vote by 97.91%. Now, to be clear, this does not mean they are guaranteed to strike. Rather, it gives union leadership the power to call for one should negotiations with the studios fail by the time their contract expires at the end of the month. But this news should not be undersold because it sends a message to the studios, especially amid the ongoing writers' strike, with SAG-AFTRA president Fran Drescher saying, "Together we lock elbows and in unity we build a new contract that honors our contributions in this remarkable industry, reflects the new digital and streaming business model, and brings all our concerns for protections and benefits into the now. Bravo, SAG-AFTRA, we are in it to win it." As far as what the union is after here, they want to restrict AI use, increase streaming residuals, and impose limitations on self-taped auditions. With Variety also noting that the union's choice to authorize a strike is an unusually aggressive move, as they haven't gone on strike against the film and TV industry since 1980, which is also why some feel the odds of a strike actually happening are less likely. But then, if it does, it'll be incredibly powerful, especially as the writer's strike's already shut down so much production. Right, so if the actors join them, then basically that means anything that's even open right now is shut down. Because yeah, the director's got a deal, but then you'd have no actors and no writers. And then Father's Day is around the corner, so make this year the year to hook that special father figure in your life up. Be it your dad, the mentor who made a difference in your life, or just yourself. And thanks to the fantastic sponsor and longtime partner of today's show, Ridge, you can do just that. Because Ridge wallets hold up to 12 cards and have room for cash and come in over 30 colors and styles to choose from, including their new leather wallets. And I don't just promote these babies, I use them. And Ridge also has the option of air tags for those prone to misplace things like myself. And it's not just wallets, they have tons of reliable products like their durable, sleek design key case that holds up to 6 keys, cool knives, backpacks, seriously, so many things. You gotta check it out already. And with over 3 million customers and 50,000 plus 5-star reviews, the Ridge team is so confident that you'll like it, they'll let you test drive it for 99 days. You don't love it, you just send it back for a full refund. So what are you waiting for? Go find the best Father's Day gift right now using my link, ridge.com/DeFranco, and save up to 40% through June 15th. That's ridge.com/DeFranco. And then, is there a serial killer prowling the streets of Portland? That's the question many Oregonians are asking themselves right now after a string of suspicious deaths over the past few months, with the remains of 6 people, all women, all under the age of 40, being discovered across just a few counties. And while the cause of death for the first body, which was found back in February, is still being investigated, the second, found more than a month later, was ruled a homicide by blunt head and neck injuries, with 2 more then being found on the same day, with at least one of them being probed as a suspicious death, as are the next 2 cases. But now, after much speculation, the Portland Police Bureau has denied the serial killer claims, saying while any premature death is concerning, PPB has no reason to believe these 6 cases are connected, with them pointing the finger at news outlets and social media for spreading anxiety and fear in our community, saying that the rumors are not supported by the facts available at this moment. And so for now, we're gonna have to wait to see what all information comes out, as well as, what are the facts that they're referencing there. And then Oklahoma just greenlit the first ever religious charter school in the country, with the school in question being online. It's called St. Isidore of Seville Catholic Virtual School, and reportedly it'll be run by the Roman Catholic Archdiocese of Oklahoma City and the Diocese of Tulsa, and have religious teachings incorporated into its curriculum. But because the school is a charter, which is just a public school that's independently managed, it'll still receive public funding. Now, notably here, some religious schools do receive a certain amount of public money, like Hasidic schools in New York that get government money for some programs but also charge tuition. But St. Isidore is different because it's going to be fully funded by the government. And that's a key thing to know, because this situation is actually massive, because it sets up a huge constitutional battle over whether taxpayer money can be used to pay for religious schools, with at least one group already promising to fight this in court. But that's also exactly what the people who support this move want, right? In recent years, there's been a growing conservative push to expand taxpayer-funded alternatives to public schools like vouchers or tax credits to help families pay for private tuition, including at religious schools. And that effort to blur the line between church and state and education has made serious progress both at the state level and in the Supreme Court. I mean, just in the last 3 years, the conservative high court made 2 rulings that religious schools can't be excluded from publicly funded tuition programs like vouchers that let parents send their kids to private schools. And so what we're seeing are supporters of this move in Oklahoma trying to test if states can directly fund religious schools, right, rather than indirectly through things like vouchers. But notably, this move is highly contentious practice even among conservatives, with St. Isidore actually only being barely approved in a 3-2 vote by the Oklahoma statewide virtual charter school board. And that despite the fact that the board's composed of members of the GOP-held legislature and people appointed by the Republican governor who have pushed for religious charter schools. And among the board members who voted yes is one who was literally appointed